Meeting is now being recorded.
His audio sounds low though. Maybe with his speakers.
But, yeah.
Yeah, might get his in. That's where his mic is.
Hey, Tom, where's your mic?
Where's my
Hey,
mic?
hello. Yeah,
Hello?
you sound a little low.
I'm not sure where my mic is. Oh, my mic is way up here.
There you go.
That's
That's better.
better. Just stand right there the whole time, Tom. That'll be good.
Put you in charge.
All right,
Okay.
I gotta do
What
two things
is-
at the same time, so, okay.
Everybody has it? No.
Thank you. Hey, why doesn't your shirt say Mendon?
That's it. That's the only update.
All right.
Thank you.
I'm going back home.
Good luck.
Good luck.
Thank you.
All right, good evening, everyone. Welcome to tonight's Board of Health meeting for May 28, 2025. Just a reminder, we are being recorded. All right, we're going to open the meeting with roll call, please.
Let's Gilmore.
Colleen,
Tom Fickner here.
Alan Greenberg here. Jack is unable to attend for personal reasons. All right. So we'll start off with Board of Health reorganization. Congratulations, Joyce, and thank you so much for volunteering for another 3 years. We greatly appreciate it.
Yes, congratulations.
Yeah,
That wasn't here at the last meeting.
Oh, okay.
yeah, there was only nobody to run.
Colleen's gonna take over on this subject.
okay, so this portion of tonight's meeting is to reorganize the Board of Health after the town's recent election. Congratulations, Joyce. So at this time, we'll take nominations for Chair of the Board of Health.
I nominate Alan Greenberg for chair of the
Second.
Board of Health.
Second,
Are there any other nominations? Since there are no other nominations, I'll close the nominations for Chair of the Board of Health. We have Alan Greenberg, who has been nominated as the Chair for the Board of Health, and we'll take a vote.
Chris Gilmore, aye.
Tom
Make a
Fickner,
motion.
aye.
To
Oh,
accept
motion.
Tom as Chair of the Board of Health. I mean, Alan, excuse me. I'm looking at you, I'm saying your name, but I meant to.
Okay,
So,
Mr. Chair.
yes. Thank you.
Congratulations.
You will
One more
have-
year.
Just
Oh,
one.
come on.
Well, then I have to be elected again.
That's true.
so now, Mr. Chairman, that's for the procedure for the Vice Chair.
Okay. At this time, I will take nominations for Vice Chair of the Board of Health.
I nominate Joyce Gilmore for vice chair. Board of Health.
Can I nominate you?
Okay.
Nominate you.
Might be happy to continue on being the vice chair if you.
Well, that's good. That makes it easy on me. How do I pick between the two of you? You're such an important part of what we do. All right, so I will second Tom Fickner. All right, are there any other nominations for Vice Chair? All right, since there are no other nominations, we will close the nominations for Vice Chair of the Board of Health. We have Tom Fickner, who has been nominated as Vice Chair for the Board of Health, and we will take a vote, please.
Aye.
Alan, aye.
Tom Fickner, aye. I
Congratulations,
can vote for
Tom.
myself, right?
If,
Yeah,
if.
absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Home
Yeah,
scheme.
it's universal.
Yeah.
Okay. Good and welfare for the public. Anyone in the audience?
There is nobody on
Nobody online?
remotely, Mr. Chairman.
All right. Moving right along, we'll go to new business. 43 Blackstone Street, local upgrade request. Tom Ryder, you're up.
Yeah, so this request, and I was hoping that, that Civilized Solutions, be joining us, but apparently they cannot be made. So Eric, had designed, a system, in a location where there's less than 4 feet of naturally pervious, material. Title V requires 4 feet of pervious natural material. Due to the site constraints, there was only 2 feet found. So they are proposing an IA technology Elgin bed configuration, which is required under the approval letter if they have less than 4 feet, otherwise it's a variance. So they're going before us for a local upgrade. And due to the site constraints, I am a recommended approval. They will be required to have a deed notice recorded on the property to indicate that they have an Elgin because of the site constraints. And that's about it for that one. I understand that this one is a long-awaited that needed to be made. This might have been one that one of the health members are issue.
All right, how often, Tom, is an Elgin system used? I can't remember having one come before us before.
But it's under the same principle. Instead of a pipe network, they have a pipe with a plastic media filter encased around it, and then has the same type of sand that the Presby uses. So they're very similar, but they look more of they look like more like pallets. They come in little sections, but they're approved for innovative technology systems that have constraints that a conventional system would otherwise be used.
Is there any different maintenance on a system like this?
There is a maintenance requirement for the approval letter. It's not there's really no moving parts, so there's usually a requirement that they provide to the company, basically their performance and how it's operating, for that use. And as far as regular septic system pump outs, but nothing extraordinary.
All right, questions from any of my fellow board members?
Do we know if the new plan, is that the same, the changes in the plan that Jack just gave us, this is what we had in the packet here?
Yeah, this is the
This
one,
is the new-
that's
this
the
is the
updated
update.
one
Yeah, we
that
just
you just
got it.
received.
Right here.
I just didn't know if it was more than just the approval letter, so it's actually
Yeah.
the plan
Plans
itself.
right here, yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Well, just looking at documentation, I know they list, have installer information on the application. I'm not familiar with that installer that's listed. I don't know if you know them or not.
I don't, but they did come in and they completed the paperwork. I believe Jack was just waiting for payment for the permit.
Because I didn't see them on our list of approved.
No, they're not. They were not. The
Oh, they're
gentleman
in
came in.
process.
Yep,
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, for some reason, the last name looked familiar, but I can't say why.
they came in over a week or so ago, a week or 10 days ago. They filled out the application and everything.
And who are they?
So
Forget the
I'm
name.
listed as RKN excavation.
That's it. Yep.
Yeah.
All right. Any other questions or discussion?
The only other question I have is technical, would be for Tom. Hey, Tom.
Hi.
I was just reading through the application. It talked about the makeup of what would be going in. It used the term well buffer. What's a well buffer?
It's the 100 feet offset.
Oh, it's just a reference to distance.
Yeah,
Oh, okay. I was thinking it might have been some element or something. I got it. Okay, I hadn't seen the term phrase that used before. Okay.
yeah, we usually use offset rather than buffer. Buffer is really indicative of a wetland. Vegetative
Okay.
wetland or something. Yeah, right, so.
Yeah.
This is a trigger for review. This is, an offset, yeah.
And I just didn't see a signature on the documentation on the last page for the certification.
Yeah, I noticed that was,
Statement. So. some point-
that was signature of, right?
I think that would be the facility owner's signature.
Yeah. Because, and I believe it's highlighted.
Looks like, yeah, I was kind of a copy of it. Looked like it was highlighted on
Yeah.
the original, but there's no signature.
So Jack's probably waiting for that and the check.
Mhm.
Okay, just wanted to just point that out as a.
Right.
All right, so we need,
I vote we approve the new septic system plan for 43 Blackstone Street local upgrade request.
Yeah, I'll second the motion based on Tom Ryder's recommendation for approval.
Right.
all in favor?
Tom, aye?
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye. All right, moving right along, 21 Hastings Road, local upgrade request.
I'm not sure that already.
Oh, yeah, I think
That's
everything,
it. We have.
Oh, you have it?
Yeah.
Okay.
we have your letter here, Tom.
Yeah, that's the one I did a little while ago, so I'm trying to like recall what, was it?
Yeah, they want to use a sieve analysis.
Yeah, alternate to perk, that's what I thought, yes. They usually this is a required, as long as they follow the DEP's policy, it's been kind of standardized. However, it's only used for repairs. And they have to, when they get the soil analysis back, they have to use the worst case scenario for that classification of soil. Ultimately, because they could not perform the sieve based on the high groundwater at the time, they were able to use sieve analysis, and I believe the soils were very good soils.
Did you say they could not perform the sieve analysis because of the high groundwater?
Yeah. Yeah, so they have to have a raised system, pump system.
It's definitely a system.
Yeah.
Tom, can I ask you a question? Since I live right next door to this
Yeah.
property. And I know what, I have that same property in my area. I'm wondering, because one of the
Yep, go ahead.
problems with the septic system is that the washing machine that they all have are making,
I lost you for a minute, I'm sorry. Can you
Okay.
repeat?
okay, I live next door.
Yep.
And I'm very familiar with the soils and what's happening there and what the system is. And that system wasn't put in there that long ago and it's already failed. So they're needing to do a new system. But, and I know that with all these new things, lots of the problems are the wash machines and soap that go in and make a problem. Why can't they have a dry well? Can we put in recommend them putting in a dry well for the washing machine? So that would prevent this travesty?
Okay, I'm sorry, my connection cut out a few times, so let me repeat what I think I heard. That you're thinking that they should separate their wastewater flows and have gray water go in one direction and the black water go in the other direction.
Well, I'm thinking that they should have their washing machines and go into a dry well. Not be part of the septic system. I feel like that's I've seen it done before back in the day. And it works very well and it keeps the new system will be working and won't have all that soap and making the layer, once that soap layer gets in there, that system is dead, practically. So
Yeah,
I'm thinking, oh, go ahead, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so DEP does have an approval to separate the flows. It doesn't, it still requires, it actually, I mean, you can't, you separate the flows, you still need to maintain the same size of system, and therefore you're like doubling the capacity. So like it's not really an efficient way. There are some areas near some of the lakes. Did you hear that? Because it cut out again.
Yeah, yeah, I heard you, yeah.
Okay. That they separated the flows and utilize the DEP's policy. But typically, you do keep the wastewater mixed, the black water and the gray water together. And discharge, you know, in the same field location. So,
But to me,
well,
to me, it doesn't make any sense because it's all just the washing machines. It's all, they can just direct the washing machines into a dry well that's not going to corrupt the other two things. It's not so much the two different waters, it's the soap.
yeah, it's all considered the sanitary waste. And the DEP's requirement is still require a septic tank. So you would have a septic tank for the black water, septic tank for the gray water. So you can separate the flows. It's just plumbing and size constraints. So yeah, so they would have to double up the size and double up the septic tanks. But there are provisions like on Taft Road. I think we've done a few where that they separated the gray water flow, and they were able to utilize some technology to do so. So it's not unheard of. So, but the typical convention is to mix the flows together.
And that's why it fails, by the by.
Yeah, there is, conditions where, certain waters can get into the system and like if you're using conditioner for your water supply, if you're using water softeners and you mix it in there, a lot of the
I think you cut out there, Tom.
yeah, I'm just agreeing that there are conditions that when you're discharging sanitary waste, if you're mixing it with other conditioners, such as water softeners, you're not supposed to. You can create that like a thin layer that just kills the bacteria. But it's supposed to be able to accommodate the black water and the gray water. But yeah, if you're adding too many other chemicals to it, other soaps and cleaners, yeah.
Oh, I might be missing something. It sounds like you have a little knowledge of the history here.
Right, because I know that's what's happening with that system, that it failed because of all the soap in the system. And that system isn't that old.
You're talking about because it's three apartments?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there's also high groundwater in the area, so there could be some constraints there, but the materials are pretty good according to the sieve analysis. So yeah, it could be a condition of what's going into the system.
Right.
So
Yeah.
I thought this was a voluntary repair when I read the paperwork, so I didn't think the system was in failure when I read through the packet.
Well, it is in failure, of course.
It
because
could
that's
be
what they-
voluntary, but still, I took it as being in failure, but so voluntary.
Right,
As
yeah,
opposed to he's not being ordered by some letter or directive to do this.
Right.
Okay,
Yeah, but obviously it was a failure.
they came to the point of saying that it's not working,
okay.
yeah.
So I guess one of the questions would be, to your point, Joyce, will this new design, Tom, address Joyce's concerns?
No.
No, this is a conventional system, because
Yeah.
I think she's talking about, how to, explore alternative technologies. And that's what I'm hearing, is that, this does not take an account for that. There are technologies that we've approved, that DEP's approved, that we permitted. And that was, they separated the flows. Like they had the black water go into a tight tank, and then they discharged the gray water, and they were able to get a reduction by doing that. So it was a tight tank with a gray water system, so they're not pumping and paying for waters that they could just discharge. But it had to go through a septic tank, and I think they were able to reduce the field size by 40%. But typically a conventional system does not separate the flows. There is other technology that separates the flows from the black and the gray, and then mixes them all at the end, and it's called the RUC system, and they get they get really good treatment. It's not a conventional system though. It's a technology that needs to be maintained, and there's an expense to it. But that has succeeded, quite consistently with treatments. So
I guess I would ask, do you know how old this system?
I don't, but I know it's not very old.
I guess is this just gonna repeat itself again?
I'm sure. In my mind,
yeah, it is an apartment complex too, so you never know
Right.
what's going down the drain. So
right.
yeah.
So I mean, I'm saying they can, again, in my, opinion, they can take the washer in each apartment and put it into a different pipe and let it go to a dry well.
Yeah, from according to the sanitary code, they would not be able to do it that way. They would have to put it through a septic tank and then put it into its own field. So they still need the septic tanks. So a dry well you can do for like water softeners, and other discharge for your for water supplies, or for storm water from your roof, but not from the sanitary flows. So you'd have to still put it through a septic tank according to Title V.
Not from a washing machine? You can't do it for,
Not from
For a
a
wash-
dishwasher or washing machine. Yeah.
What if you made the recommendation to eliminate their ability to use washing machines?
but. What did you
I
say?
mean, if you made the recommendation, considered eliminating the use of a washing machine.
That's problematic for everybody that lives in the
Mm.
apartment.
No, I know, but otherwise, like you said, history will repeat itself, or you have to do what Tom is saying, make the recommendation to have the separate field, because you can't use dry wells anymore.
My thinking is that, I mean, it meets the code. We can talk with land planning on the discussion points on where this system went wrong. I mean, it's a voluntary repair, so therefore they acknowledge that there was something going on. They wanted to remediate it before it became a nuisance. So I think it's a good thing that they did so before the board having to get involved. But we should talk to them on, does it need to be expanded a little bit more, maximized? because of conditions of the apartment. Some apartments don't have wash machines, or they only have one system set up. I'm not sure how this one is set up, but so if all three of them have wash machines, or they have one big master wash machine that everyone's coming in to use, and
No, they don't. They each have the capacity to have a washing machine. The small apartment that's the brick apartment, they're not letting them have the washing machine, but there is a facility there for a washer and dryer. But they're not letting have a washing machine.
okay, all right. Yeah, I think something like this, we can follow up with land planning, who did the design, to make sure that they understand and acknowledge what the concerns are, and then see if it can be maximized. But it does meet the code's requirements.
Okay,
I have
based
to,
on that,
Yep.
Tom, I take it your recommendation is to, because of the issues that, Joyce has brought forward, and not wanting history to repeat itself, that, we have a discussion with land planning before we vote on this?
I think, I think it meets the warrants for approval, but I think it's probably a good discussion to have them come in, just talk about it too. Just to make sure they understand the concerns of the board. But
Okay,
it does
so-
meet it meets the merits of the approval process, so, they're only seeking the, alternate to perk, so.
All right.
Yeah.
All right, so I'll rephrase it then, and I'll ask my board members. Do we want to vote on this based on the local upgrade, which meets all the standards, but have further discussion before the system is installed with land planning?
Yeah, that makes sense to me. I think that, I think it's important, because again, it isn't problematic to just take only this washing machine and put it into they each go into the same dry well.
Well, as Tom Ryder pointed out, dry wells for this particular purpose are no longer possible.
But he's saying it's for everything, and I'm saying it's just for the washing machine.
Right, and I believe what I'm hearing is that if they were to take the laundry, the washes, the gray water out of the system,
Right,
it still has to go into another system because the DEP is classifying it as sanitary waste, not soap.
So Tom's
So-
saying that it still would, right, Tom, you're saying it still would have to have a tank regardless.
Tank and leach field.
Yep,
Yep, tank
Yeah.
and leach field,
yep.
size. So what you're voting on is just for the local upgrade for the perk, for alternate to perk. The plan has not been approved yet until after. So if you want to condition it that we have a discussion before we issue this Wilson Works construction permit, because that has not been issued yet.
So I think that's it. If I'm
Yeah.
hearing my board members,
yep.
no,
Well, I would actually opt to have that discussion with land planning first before we take.
That's
To be honest with you.
okay,
I would like to hear their engineering viewpoints,
okay.
as part of the discussion. before we-
All right, so we'll instruct Jack to get back to land planning
Yeah,
and to discuss the laundry discharge, we'll call it.
Only the laundry, yeah, not any other,
And then we'll bring it up again. We won't have to
right,
hear from Tom because we've already heard from him.
yep.
Unless there's something we hear from land planning that we still don't understand or.
Well, that may require Tom's input.
When is your next meeting?
That would fall
In
on,
2 weeks.
2 weeks? Okay.
next meeting will be June 11.
All right, so if Jack can get in touch with him, I'll get in touch with Bill as well to see, have them come up with some thoughts. I have to run to another meeting. I apologize.
No worries, Tom.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Okay, so we're gonna table this to the next
Yeah,
meeting
I made a note for Jack, so he'll know.
to get more information on the laundry discharge.
And the only other question I had is, and I know it's existing on the property, but I'm assuming it has no connection with the septic, and that is the automotive garage.
Yes, it does.
Yeah,
They have
it's calculated in,
Yeah,
if
So it is
you,
all,
yeah,
yeah,
if you look at the plan, I believe that the flow from
Right.
the garage, they're
Yeah.
calculating it maybe 450
yep,
gallons per day.
yep.
another interesting element,
No, it's just that, it's just there.
factoring in that you have an automotive shop.
Right. It's not going, it's not the oil and all that stuff that's going. It's the bathroom.
Yeah, well, it's with you.
Right, but at 450 gallons per day, that's more than a residential bedroom,
Yeah, it's true.
right? Residential bedroom is 110.
Yeah, good overhead.
Here's I don't know how many people work there, but that calculation of 450,
There's about
Two,
three
three
people that
maybe?
work
Yeah,
there.
at least,
I
Yeah.
think
Two or
there's
three
three,
people.
if not 4. But
And it's not all the time either, unless the,
right,
because the schedule seems to kind of shifted from the part-time basis there. We're talking men and motors.
right, yeah,
Yeah.
right.
Unless he's back on the full-time gig. For a while, he had limited hours.
but even if he was, they're not showering, they're not
No,
No,
doing
no.
laundry, they're not doing dishes.
right,
That's a pretty high flow rate
but for that, yeah, right.
when you, for the calculation. I'm not saying that that's the actual. I find it hard to,
Probably, yeah, on the commercial side, right, Joyce? They
Yeah,
have, it's calculated differently than the
Right.
residential side.
okay, so we're gonna put this one to bed until the next meeting.
thank
All
you.
right. No, that's fine. All right. Moving along here. We're, Gasco Fuel, 25 Cape Road, tobacco violation, non-criminal hearing. How are you, sir? Come on up.
You must be a
Yes, sir.
boy.
Today.
Right, exactly. The tobacco, Alliance went out and did, did tobacco compliance checks throughout the town of Mendon. And, on Thursday, May 8th, they were entered into Gasco Fuel and, unfortunately, there was a sale to a minor. We were notified the next day, this was on Thursday, we were notified on Friday. Of course, we're out of the office, so immediately Monday, Tuesday, when was it, that I went down and saw Abe, and I gave him the letter that's in front of you.
Right,
We had a conversation about it. Abe paid the fine immediately. The fine's been paid. So the other part of the first violation is that it's a fine of $1,000. Additionally, if the violation is the sale of a tobacco product to a person under the age of 21, the tobacco product sales permit shall be suspended for up to 30 consecutive business days pursuant to 105 CMR 40D, which is to be decided and voted by the board.
Right.
So I spoke with Abe, we had a conversation, he was
Very
very,
embarrassed to be here, honestly.
Yeah.
I have told them a million times. I even sent my kids. It frankly never happened. You know? It's not an excuse. This girl, she worked for me. She worked at the pump. She should never go behind the counter. She's not even trained or anything. The guy who behind the counter, she had customer on the pump. This is, I'm saying, this is not an excuse.
No,
But I got the video, okay? The guy go to do propane because she have customers. He ran to do propane, the guy have probably one bottle of propane. But it takes time to put it on the scale to, and this time, the town came with the teenager, she finished the cars outside, she came, she ran behind the counter, I see her, she came to sit. Stephanie, her name, she came to sit, she went behind the counter, he said, this pack of cigarette, she gave it to him, never asked him for anything. Okay, and it was at the wrong time. This guy I had was working. He worked in Upton for me 30 years ago. And he never get any violation. The other guy, Roberto, he worked behind, never, they know. It doesn't matter. You can be like 40 years old, 50 years old. There was a woman when she was there, she's a mother of 4 children. I had this guy, he asked her, didn't you come every day to get cigarette? And I asked you for ID every day. It's ridiculous, you know.
Mhm.
And she said, yeah, he asked me, but it
I
doesn't matter.
understand that.
Because this girl, she worked for me. I'm responsible. She's not supposed to be behind the counter. She thought that she's doing something good. So what I'm gonna say, of course, it's my fault. If I know my kids smoke and they're over 21, I would probably have a heart attack. Okay? Because why would anybody would smoke after all the information?
Right,
And I honestly don't care to sell cigarettes. If you see now, you probably sell between 10, 15 pack a day, you make 50 cents. I was so embarrassed, but customer come for coffee to buy this cigarette. They will come and come and come. You know, but what I'm gonna tell you is it's my fault, you know, I can't say more. I mean, it's not the money, it's not the greed, it's a mistake, but it shouldn't happen ever. But it
that's why they call it a mistake.
Yeah, the girl, she felt so bad. I told her next time, I will not let you pay the 1,000 or whatever the fine is. I'll pay it and fire you. But I honestly, I can't fire her. Because she thought she's helping.
Right,
She been working in the cold weather, the good weather every day. But I didn't tell her that, but she gets scared. Now, every time I'm going in, she wait for me. And she opened the door for me. I tell her, don't worry about it. She know she made a mistake. I told her, it's not your job. You tell the customer 1 minute and they come.
right.
I didn't know she know how to use the cashier. You know? That's it.
Yep,
Tom,
I appreciate you being here. Don't feel embarrassed.
I'm sorry?
I appreciate you being here.
No, I got
Thank you.
to take your time, okay? I can be with my kids, but you know, having dinner, but I did have dinner before.
Well,
But anyway,
don't feel embarrassed.
no, because, you know, I tell them, honestly, it's so hard to get help.
Yeah.
You can tell them the same thing, okay? We have account, this is wrong before. They write the wrong plate number. The plate number is right there. I don't care what language you speak. You can just copy it. And they say, Mendon Fire Department. And it's the police. You know, on the plate. But it happened very rarely, but again, it shouldn't happen. But you're gonna get to work in a gas station. Stop. That's why I sold 2. I don't want gas station. Stop.
Well, to the matter at hand, from my perspective, I'm not inclined to look to do anything further than gentleman's paid his $1,000 fine as the first violation. I'm not gonna look to spend
okay,
my personal view.
Joyce?
yeah, I agree. I mean, it was a mistake. But it was a very expensive mistake. And she probably will never do it again.
She shouldn't
She does.
be there. But you know something? So after a few days, they said, do you know when we can sell cigarette? They stopped selling the cigarette after you left. So they thought, I told them now we get suspended. They're gonna take all the cigarette away, okay? And I just paid the fine, so they stopped selling cigarette, which is okay. I mean, you know, the business is not gonna suffer. But whatever you think is right, I mean, you know,
Dave, I'm Alan.
huh?
My name is Alan. And
Yes,
I also appreciate you coming.
yes,
I will say in the past, Colleen has always talked highly of your operation. And you have more than one thing going on there.
yeah,
So I was very surprised when I read the paperwork, because it's not what I would expect. Okay, which is a good thing. All right, so like my fellow board member said, unfortunately, the good intentions
No,
of your employee.
She's not supposed, but she worked for me, it's my fault.
Yeah, but like I said, she thought she was helping, being part of the team. And she was in an area that she wasn't qualified to be in.
No, and probably it's a matter of 30 seconds, the guy come back, or a minute or two.
Yeah,
But
yeah,
So I'm not inclined to go any further with this.
okay,
But
thank
I
you.
do want to hear from Colleen because we have to work very hard to try to treat all situations equally.
Mhm.
So,
Well, I do have a good rapport with Abe, you know, I'm working with him in, another endeavor. It did go down immediately, and spoke with him, and he was very, very upset, very, very upset.
I'm gonna say, the guy checking his other age, he told him to see it.
right,
And you know,
And I agree with the board and their, inclination to not take it any further than the fine. It is a first violation. I would be very, very surprised if there was a second violation in this particular store.
okay,
okay, well, can I say something?
Yes, please.
The septic system, that they have problem, I don't know how many apartment there, but there is a way. Imagine a car wash that they run 200 cars and nothing go in the septic system. Wash, okay? So, first of all, you gotta see what material they use for soap. If it's, you know, it's harmful to the earth or not. Now, that water, it can go into a detention pond, an open one. Or a detention pond, it's closed. Or a well. But the well, it's like the water from the roof, have to have leaching. That's
right,
where it go, because sometimes the septic tank, it does not fill. But the soap comes up, because the mix of the soap and the detergent with the bacteria that they put in the tank create foam. That's what you see.
correct,
I think another way, there is other ways, probably to filter the soap from before it get to the septic tank, from the septic tank. Okay, it's a filter. It's an expensive one, but you don't have to do it again, and it will separate it. That's all. I mean, there is way, it's just the people who have this problem, they have to research.
well, I think one of the most important points you just brought up is what's being used for laundry detergent.
right,
Because
Yeah, that is a solution. You know, in the town here, we were doing some land work. And they say, put silt fence. So I put the silt fence. And it failed, because never rained this much before. So I put 2 silt fence. The town didn't tell me to put it. But every rain, I ran like crazy. I have 3, 4 guys to see where it's breached, because the water rushed. Then I put the 3rd one, and all 3, they failed, and I put crushed one, then I hydro seed 5 acres to make, you know, grass, so it doesn't, the water run, the grass will drink it. Nothing worked, and it go into the wetland. I cleaned the wetland. And then I said, what is this? I mean, with smart people here, why can't we create a system that in every meeting I went, Kevin Meehan, the engineer, they had water running into the pond. Another guy, he put the crushed stones and since then doesn't work. I said, why can't we figure out something to do it? So I asked the engineer to make a detention pond. So all the water, I see how the water run, when it rains, it go to detention pond. And all the silts go to the bottom. And then on top, the water run into the water clean, like you can drink it. Okay? But if I did this from the beginning, I would have saved 150 grand.
wow,
And it didn't work.
yeah,
Okay, guys.
that's it.
Thank you. I think there is solution.
Thank you, Abe.
Okay, take care.
Good insight, yep.
we need to.
Thank you.
Looking forward to your food truck.
Yeah.
I heard that-
I need inspection. So,
Are you ready?
can I say something?
Sure.
I called a company that they do synthesis. They have something for the restaurant to put the right soap, the right, over the dishwasher and the right soap when they wash their hand. Okay, so they're gonna come, the guy coming tomorrow at 10.
Okay.
So when you go there, all the sign, everything, and the fire department went, so it should be okay.
Good.
All right, thank you.
Awesome, thank you, Ed.
Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, so we need to take a formal,
I would vote to say that a motion not to, suspend his, tobacco permit.
Right, at this point, yeah.
okay, so I need a motion.
I move that we don't suspend his permit for tobacco.
I'll move to second that motion.
All in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Alan, aye. All right. Moving right along.
An interesting point there with his, referencing his car wash and water and soaps, and
Yeah,
Oh, yeah.
I just wonder, are the rules a little different when it comes to something like that versus residential?
Well, I think that's very possible.
but I think it's wrong. I mean, I think that it's not the same as putting it into a septic tank. I think you can put it, again, like I said, into a dry well, just the washing machine.
Well, I can tell you from,
I'll look it up tomorrow at 3:10. I'll look up.
Okay,
well, personal experience, with a friend of ours, who had a property in town, who had that setup. Had a dry well where he had his gray water from washing was into a separate. In order for him to sell the home, he had to get rid of that and put in a conventional system because it wasn't an allowance anymore under the regulations. But he had the perfect setup
Yeah.
and it was working,
I hate that.
but because he was selling the property,
Right.
Right.
It had to
didn't meet-
change,
It didn't meet the
unfortunately.
requirement.
Yeah.
And it doesn't. What Tom was saying is that you can, in essence, have, the dry well, but it's now called a septic tank and a leaching field.
Yeah,
And it's not the dry well that gets pumped out into your backyard anymore.
But the previous gentleman did make, you know,
good point.
with sometimes you gotta be fussy with what you use for laundry detergent.
All right,
Yes,
So that is probably the simplest
sulfate-free.
mediation
right,
initially,
right.
because everybody can be very careful with what they use
Mhm.
and making sure that it's, a soap that is going to break down. Now, it might not be 100% solution,
Right,
but it would probably increase the longevity of a septic system.
right,
Well, yeah, and those types of detergents, you use less of them and less product, I should say. And, like we're used to, like lather, we equate that to, clean, exactly. And with the non-sulfate, even shampoos, like, but they are better, especially if you have a septic system.
All right,
okay.
so we're gonna move on to the scholarships. Joyce, last meeting, you had already rated yours.
I did, yeah, no, we're not gonna.
I
find
have
that.
mine. Tom, how are you doing?
I did a rating.
All right. Now, do we, all right. We can have a discussion if people want to have a discussion, or we can set up the matrix like we did last year. God bless you.
Yes.
And see who has the lowest number of points.
I like what we did last year. I thought that was very efficient, very direct, very effective. But that was worked out well.
All right. And in the event of a tie, we have Colleen.
Oh, thank you.
All right,
Yeah,
so. Yeah, all right. Let's see. Jack did not number them.
He did.
No, I numbered
In
them
in
my
the,
way.
in the lower right corner.
Yeah.
Okay.
there you go.
Number
All right,
one,
so that's what we need.
Yep.
All right, so. All right, Tom, so you're gonna give me the number that Jack put on the application.
Yep.
Who's your first choice?
Number 5.
Second choice?
Number 2,
Third?
number 1.
Fourth?
Well, there's a bit of a toss up, but I would say after the first 3, it's pretty close for me, those last 3. Actually, I'll say 3 and 4, 4 and 5, positions 4 and 5, number 3 and number 4. So 5, 2, 1,
5, 2, 1,
3, 4,
3, 4,
6.
6.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, Joyce.
So
The
I,
numbers in the lower corner that Jack
Right.
generated for
Right.
first place.
is number 2,
Number 2, second place,
is number 6.
third place.
Hold on a minute,
I'm sorry.
number 4,
Fourth place,
number 5.
fifth.
A minute, I have to get the pages.
They
Hold
stick together, don't they?
on.
Even though they're stable.
So that, which one am I on now?
Fifth place.
5th is number 4.
Um,
Oh, yeah, I already did that,
yeah,
right?
that can't be number 4.
Okay. And, number 6 is last one.
Okay, you have 2 4s somehow.
Okay, well, all right, let me see. One. So number 1
Yeah, it's 2.
is 2,
All right,
number 2 is 6.
yeah,
Number 3 is 4,
yeah,
number 5,
no, number fourth place is 5.
yeah,
All right, fifth place is,
Are you missing
Must be
an
3.
application?
I don't know, wait a minute, yeah, something's
Do you have
going
all
on
6
here.
there though? That's what I'm wondering.
I have 1, 2, 3. 2, 3, 4. Oh, this is not 4, is that? That's number 1.
Well, I'm just looking at the, we're missing an application. It should be 6 total. I see 5 spread out.
yeah, the only number you're missing, Joyce, is 3. Jack's number 3.
Wait a minute, let's see, is there something in here now? Because I had it all perfect, I thought.
Oh, there you go.
Oh. There you go, okay,
Let's
so,
stick together.
right, so
Fifth spot is,
number 3,
yeah, that makes sense. You're good.
okay.
So you've
Not-
got
not that good.
2, 6, 4, 5, 3, 6. Okay. So I have in first spot, I have number 1. Second spot, I have number 3. In third spot, I have 5. Fourth spot, I have number 4. In the 5th spot, I have number 6. And in the 6th spot, I have number 2. So, based on it, how many applications, how many awards do we have?
Just the one,
Just
well, I
one.
think we're doing the one for,
Okay,
well, have we?
I don't know, I wanted,
We had
I thought
two
we
one
had,
thousand,
that's what I thought, but
right, two 1,000s. That sound right?
I believe.
I think it was.
That's what I thought it was. All right, so let's just see now, we gotta. I do this before. Uh, I can't remember how I broke up the matrix. Anybody remember how I did that? It worked so well last.
I think we took, we just compared the numbers that we each put out and looked for common matchings. To see if we could, come to a
Some
conclusion.
kind of a conclusion.
And I think last time we might have actually applied a point number.
Yeah, I thought that's
To
what
them.
I did. I'm not picturing it, and I know it, last year it worked slick,
Yeah,
and it made sense. So I don't know if I set my matrix up differently.
so let's see. So in the top 3 positions, do you have any common numbers across the board? 1, 2, and 3 out of
Yeah,
curiosity?
so if we go to the top 3,
Yeah,
we have 2 number 2s,
okay,
and we have 2 number 1s,
okay,
and we have 2 number 5s.
okay,
The outliers are a 6 and a 4.
okay. So we could probably put 6 and 4 aside,
Okay,
right? Not consider those. They're at the bottom of our
Right.
options,
Yeah.
files, right?
yeah,
Not for
so
me.
I said 2
I like
2s,
6. I gave 6.
2 1s, 2 5s. So number 3 would also come off of that. 3 is single outlier.
Read outline, okay,
With the 6 and the 4.
yeah,
So now we've got it down to 1, 2, and 5.
with the options.
Yep. 2 1s, 2 2s, 2 5s. So we want to have some discussion. Or let's see. We've got a 5 in front. And they're kind of all over the place.
You do signed a point system.
Yeah, I think what we did, last year.
If I can only remember.
Well, actually, if we're gonna narrow it down even further. So that's in the top 3. I think we only have the 2 $1,000 scholarships to award.
Mhm.
So if you were to take positions 1 and 2, draw a line there. What do we have?
We've got 2 number 2s.
Okay,
2 number 2s, and we have a 5 in first place and a 1 in first place. So if we took the 2 as one scholarship,
yeah,
and then we discussed the 1 and the 5.
yeah. But it seems like from a majority perspective, number 2 has the majority vote,
Yeah.
right?
Okay, so if we take application number 1 and application number 5. They use Jack's numbers.
Yeah. Now, what are we looking for, 6 and 5?
Yeah, Jack's numbers. So the numbers in the bottom right corner.
I'm looking for
No,
this
1 and 5.
Yeah,
5 and
5
1?
and 1.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, if we go back to the criteria,
Mhm.
we know that both of them have the first criteria and the last criteria. So we get down to the middle, which is acts of good citizenship and or community service, would probably be what we'd be comparing.
So what are we looking at, 6 and,
5 and 1, by Jack's numbers,
oh,
the lower corner.
yeah, this is 1 and 5.
And we're comparing community service and good citizenship.
From my scoring table, those two are extremely close. Like half a point.
Excuse me.
So I'd have to probably apply a variable in terms of like their essays. What I got from their essays, and they told us about themselves.
Right?
I was concerned because of the first choice was on number 5 was Quinsigamond Community College, which is free now.
Tuition it is.
Right, and Mass Bay Community College is also free.
I believe Sabina Community
Right.
College has a resident. Yeah.
Right,
And see, I looked at that and one of my notes says realistic school choices. In today's world, where college tuition is so expensive,
right,
where either parents and or students are putting themselves in debt,
Mhm.
I applauded this student for
Same.
making a realistic choice.
Well, same also from the standpoint of, how she's out there in the working world and has been. And I know tuition's only part of the expense of college. There's other things as well that go along. with
Yeah,
it.
let's see, work, listening skills, understanding disabilities, realistic school choices, and on top of that, a 4.0.
That one is like, I couldn't believe it because I thought there was a mistake when I first saw
Mhm.
the 100.
Yeah.
And I put a question mark and then I was reading, when she said she has person has a 4.0 GPA. I'm like, oh my gosh.
Now, I have to say,
And I'm thinking to myself, you have a 4.0? And not considering further, like
Right,
another academic directive?
right.
So but in a way, I kind of applaud that. That this person was looking at it that way.
and there's nothing wrong with community colleges.
Oh, heck no.
No, for sure. I mean,
But I thought that, use your word, I applauded you. However, I have to say on number one, the work, the co-op, the fact that the student was dealing with autism, and had to work twice as hard
Yeah,
to achieve, the goals of their peers, were achieving easier. I know where that person is coming from.
yeah.
So I like the fact that they stuck with it, even though it was hard. So that's how, because my first choice was number
Like I said, for me, those two are just so darn close.
one.
That's, I could go, either way.
However, I think if we go back to the criteria, I think number 5 had more community service.
I agree with that. I gave a higher point. I used a 1 to 5 scale in each area. I gave more points in that area for that individual versus this individual against criteria. That's true. Yeah.
So,
You get sometimes torn, if the heartstrings stop getting pulled
Mhm.
in description. So that does play into it emotionally,
Oh, no doubt about it. There were 2 applications, one of them being one that I can understand.
Mhm.
Because my oldest, she went to Quincy, and it
Yep.
took 3 years to get her associates, and then she went to Worcester State, and it was 3 years to get her bachelor's. So she had to work harder to get there,
Yeah.
but she stuck with it. So I could see that. Then we had another applicant whose mom is dealing with a very familiar health situation.
Mhm.
And I had to make sure that I was always going back to the criteria.
Yeah.
So that I didn't get caught up in the other stuff, even though that other stuff was really important to building someone's character.
Yeah.
And to what they're gonna be able to endure in the future. I had to keep going back to the criteria and making sure that I was following
Mhm.
the map.
Yeah, well, that's a good way to look at it. If that were the case, then I would probably have to lean number 5.
I also would have to lean number 5, not that I don't value any of the applicants any less.
Oh, sure, yeah.
Based on the criteria, I would have to go to number 5.
Joyce, what's your input there?
Well,
Joyce?
I mean, if it's 2 to 1, I'm fine with that.
Well, I mean, do you have is there a?
Well, I mean, I just, I like again, I had mine. I liked number 2 for number 1. I liked what she said. I like the fact that she's at Nipmunk and doing all these things and, but I'm fine with that.
Well,
Well,
we do have number 2.
right, we decided number 2 is one of the.
That's one of the winners.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
So we're working on second place and we've got it down to
Right.
Jack's number 1 and Jack's number 5.
Right.
Right.
So we're trying to decide between those 2 who we can award.
Well, again, as I said, that this kid that's going to the 2 community colleges is going free.
Mhm.
This one who's going to Assumption is not going free, or Bridgewater State.
Mhm.
He's not going free, or he or she or whatever
Mhm.
is not going free. So to me, I thought their scores were very good. I thought everything was really very good. I like that better. I mean, when you're going free, you don't need a scholarship, in my opinion.
Well, I think it was brought up that even though the tuition was free, commuting expenses, it's not totally free, it's still,
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, you're driving there, you have to drive every day.
Books,
Books on computer.
Right,
so it's less expensive, but as we know, nothing is free.
right.
Actually, let me look and see, I wanna see.
And that individual in number 5 is someone who is going to be continuing to be in the Mendon community, continuing the work that that they're doing
Which one now?
as well. Number 5,
Uh,
that individual.
I think I still have to stay with 5. I like the fact that this person wants to apply something rather simple
Mhm.
to help people feel better about
Mhm.
themselves.
Mhm.
And it's something that this person could probably do without furthering their education academically. But yet, whether it's a backup plan or whether it's the desire to learn more, maybe even about themselves by going through the college experience.
And there was even in the work experience, there's a connection that individual has to the Autism Alliance. Similar, the autistic aspect was in the other students' application as
And that
well.
made it a hard choice.
And what I thought was an interesting common theme through a few of these, the word empathy came out. And that was the first time I can say I've seen that come out, which I found very interesting and positive, actually,
Absolutely.
that was coming out in these write-ups. I thought, it's pretty good.
Well,
People are feeling.
I'll be Pollyanna.
Yeah, like me.
I'd like to think that we're getting better at all of this.
Mm.
Now granted, there are still some hard-lined thought processes out there, but as far as accepting everyone's difference, I mean, I can honestly say that, I remember being down the Cape and, there was a young gentleman with a scruffy beard, but he had earrings and a long dress on, and we were in a kitchen store. And I'd have to say, I looked once and kind of said, oh. But that was it. Where maybe 20 or 25 years ago, you'd be staring and saying, what is going on? We're getting, so again, I'd like to think Pollyanna, we're getting better and we're seeing the sunshine versus the difference. So maybe that's where this is coming up, and maybe in the high school period, which is a very interesting period of maturation.
Oh, yes.
They're learning that, if the gentleman next to him has nail polish on, it's not really a big deal.
Right.
And if the young lady is wearing army boots and short hair, it's really not a big deal. They're still your classmate, they're still one of your peers.
Mhm.
So again, kind of an evolution of understanding and empathy for those people that learn differently, look differently.
Mhm.
So maybe that's where that's coming from.
No, so it's a good thing.
What are your final thoughts, Joyce?
I'm just finished reading the end of the paragraph.
Okay, I'm sorry.
No.
What's interesting, the common denominator of those two we're discussing, school-wise, is the same.
Mm.
Same institution.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, they both go to back to Blackstone.
Oh, where they came from.
Yeah.
So that might be something
Tell you something.
culturally going on there.
Yeah, I think that 5 is good. Very good.
Okay. All right, so we're gonna go with 2 and 5. So we can let Jack know.
Yep.
Hopefully, we didn't make any mistakes. That, we do have two 1,000s. Jack will correct us quickly.
Yeah, very quickly.
Well, I think if they're just the one, and I just really think there was two, if there was just the one, I think we know what it will be number two,
Right,
because that had the most votes right at the get-go.
right.
So,
Okay.
Yep.
So motoring along,
motoring.
we're going to go to old business, 4549 Uxbridge Road. Additional blasting, blast testing discussion. Does Jack have any notes on that, or should we just carry that over?
Well, I think it was just the analysis of the test that was done by the property owner the year prior to the blasting. I think Tom, you wanted to know if there was any significant changes from that testing and then the pre-blast
Pre-blast.
testing and the post-blast testing.
Right.
The answer is no. Everything was really within the range. Some things on that test from a year ago, he didn't test for in the pre-blast and post-blast testing, so there's no data
Yeah.
to support that change. Perchlorate being one of them, that was not what was tested for prior to the blasting or anything. But the rest of it, and Tom looked at it too, I mean, it's all within the accepted ranges of, the acceptable ranges set down by the DEP for potable water. There really wasn't anything. Jack and I prepared this chat and we put in the testing prior to the blasting. I made a notation, converted it from, UG to MG because that's what the microbat data had it in MG and not UG.
Is this yours or mine?
There was nothing remarkable.
Okay.
All right, and if I remember correctly, we were told that the blasting did not contain any,
Perchlorate did not, absolutely did not.
so that has kind of been ruled out as a source.
Yeah, and the other reason that Jack had noted from the minutes of the meeting, I wasn't there, was
Bless you.
Thank you.
the other element was that's still pending on this, and I don't know if we can, on the closure is, part of this discussion was where the board wanted to take it with regard to the concerns put forth on the residential side with regard to making a determination as to whether or not we felt we could take or apply any directive back to the engineer, the engineering firm.
Right.
And from what and I unfortunately hadn't heard back from a contact at DEP that I reached out to, unfortunately, but I'm not seeing anything conclusively where I can say to the engineer, we think you need to do another test.
So that's where we picked up on, where we decided that we were going to draft regulations.
Correct.
So that we can include that third set of data a year after the blasting. So that's what I'm working on. And also to eliminate the use of perchlorate as a blasting agent.
Right.
And so that's what we're working on now.
Okay.
What I have, in a draft, hopefully in the next or so.
And then we'll be able to incorporate in those regulations, factoring in the groundwater elements that aren't really factored in now. And we can kind of outline a protocol
Right.
for future blasting to take that into consideration in areas where these test guidelines for neighbors' wells and so forth. This is what you need to follow.
Right.
pre and post.
We'll have that
And we'll have that when we just don't have that.
to
now.
enforce, you
Right,
know, to
yeah.
enforce
To
the
give you
state.
some, give you
These are
some
our
mileage.
guidelines and we require,
Right,
obviously, the pre-blast testing, but, and then post-blast testing, but we're also gonna require a year after the blasting date, we're also gonna require additional testing, so they know this
Right.
coming into,
right.
you know, whatever area, if there is additional blasting, that's how we protect our residents, is by having that type of regulation.
And I wonder if in this process, as we move forward, if we want to consider, and I know there may be a cost factor here, is being able to have at our disposal an individual who is also a hydrogeologist that we can have their set of eyes on the data as well as the individuals who might be on the engineering side. And that's not to say that what they're saying is wrong. It's just, this exercise was all about trying to get comparing apples to apples and the right sets of eyes at the same level for what they do, looking at it to see if potentially there might have been a different look-see. And so far, I just, you know,
Well, we were lucky enough, thanks to Tom Ryder, and fortunate enough to be referred to Ty and Bond. And the two individuals that I spoke with directly were invaluable resources.
Yeah.
So I think to your idea, moving forward, if we even had to have them as, you know, as counsel,
yeah,
if we have a situation that, you know, obviously we would pay, you know, for them to review the information, but the two individuals that I spoke with, matter of fact, we left it that, you know, invaluable resource, as I stated, but also to, you know, on their side, their end, you need anything else, Colleen, or if you have any other questions, don't hesitate to reach out. So I'm sure that we would be able to work something out with them.
Yeah, very similar to, we have a Tom Wright.
Exactly.
Yeah,
You know, and just like with the landfill, it's the same thing, you know, I mean,
Right.
it's another level of professionalism. You know, and that's their area of expertise.
I do have one little concern that kind of popped into my head as we're talking about blasting regulations, and I don't know who we would turn to create, I'll call it a tier. You may have someone who has to blast in a neighborhood, let's say, because they're putting a built-in pool in. Now, I would consider that possibly a very relatively small blast,
right.
okay? Versus a construction site like we've experienced. In layman's terms, I'd call that a pretty large operation. However, we were told that in the scope of things, that it's not. So I wonder if there's a way, if there's a tier of blasting from the most minimal to the highest. And if the regulations need to take that into consideration.
I would say yes, and I believe that we can look at the the fire regulations, because that's where all the blasting requirements live. And also too, had a conversation with the fire chief, so it's something that we're gonna work on together. And I think that that's a really good idea.
Exactly. When I built my barn, I don't know, 30-something years ago, whatever, I had to do a little blasting. It was, you know, one
Right,
shot
Sure,
and
yeah,
it was all done,
because there was so much ledge.
but for something that small, is it necessary to test your neighbor's wells? Or how, in what distance, what radius?
Mhm.
Now, I can tell you that I had told you the story about a gentleman on my street
Right,
that had a nightmare over the neighbors blasting. And I don't know how long that went on. I'm sure it was more than what I did to put the foundation in for my barn. But That's why I said a certain radius. I had nobody around for thousands of feet. Different situation.
Yep.
When your neighbor is,
Yeah,
house is
200 feet
200
away.
feet away.
Yeah,
So again, I don't know if there's tiers for blasting that would dictate, how many tons.
And
And then
I do,
again, the radius that
Yeah.
would go along with that. Just to make sure that the regulations are applied
Mhm.
correctly.
Mhm.
Okay, just
Yeah,
happen.
no,
my
I
head.
just took notes and, I'll follow up on that point with the fire chief too.
Okay.
No, it's a valid point.
Absolutely, I
Yeah.
agree. Depending upon the level,
Right.
Right,
I mean, I guess it would go by, maybe how many detonators are used, maybe?
yeah, I, for some reason, I thought explosives were in pounds.
Pounds.
Yeah. Or,
Mhm.
until you got to like mining operations when it was in
Yeah.
tons. But we might need something like that in order to, again, apply the rules correctly at
Right,
each level.
right.
And I don't know, there may be other conditions other than that follow some kind of a scale. We might have to ask a blasting company.
Yeah, and we have,
That's their business.
yep, we have a good rapport with the blasting company as well.
So, we just like with well regulations, we talked to well drillers.
Mhm.
Mhm.
To find out if the regulations were applicable and reasonable.
Right.
Especially when it came to, how many hours they had to purge the well before they tested it and things
Yeah.
like that. They could come back the next day to make sure that everything kind of lines up and is reasonable. But yet, protects the rules and regulations. That's it. That's all I got.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, private well regulations update.
I don't,
You have to kind of pass over. It'd be-
yeah, Jack,
Jack,
And then old landfill update.
say that, that it was seeded.
Yep, we know it was seeded. And I observed some erosion, at the catch basin
Yeah,
and spoke with Jack, and John Dudley
John,
already knew about it.
Yep.
And it was already on his list to be taken care of. Just some settling, a little bit of erosion.
Yeah.
Nothing major,
yeah.
but John was already on it.
And we, also, I'm aware that they had extended, he was kind enough to extend the
yes,
date
yes,
so that we could get all our testing
yep.
done. And, do we have a process yet as to how we're gonna follow that testing? Has that communication been
working.
initiated?
Yeah, Jennifer's, saying is working on something.
Oh,
She was
okay.
on vacation.
Yep.
Last week. And she sent a couple of emails while she was on vacation.
Oh, okay.
So we're gonna probably be touching base. I mean, if not this week, then I would imagine it would be next week.
And I think the extension took us to the end of July.
Yep.
Right? Okay.
Yeah, not a problem, Mr. McQuaid, said no problem.
Cool.
And we updated them, let them know, that the catch basin was repaired, that, everything else was done, and we were just waiting for the seeding, to be seeded. And then I think Greg Root will come down and take a look.
And I think this was probably, might have come out in the last meeting that I wasn't part of. Prior to that meeting, Jack and I had a conversation and a view of the well positions.
Yes.
Based on a plan that I had not seen before. And based on this plan, it did look like wells were within the landfill zone.
Yeah, Jack mentioned something.
We have to clarify, we're waiting to hear from him. We sent him an email straight away.
Yeah, was it the last meeting we discussed? When the wells were drilled?
Yep.
The, carpet fibers, et cetera,
Yeah, and the dog's on.
when they drilled. So when they drilled, it's very possible they knew they were in the landfill.
What was very interesting was, and I didn't pick up on it till I viewed it with Jack was, and this is what, Jim was referencing in his report, the RAM report that was done. That's where that map was included in the report. And I hadn't seen that prior to a couple weeks ago and didn't realize, because I had been looking at the original closure map based on where the wells were proposed to go. And then what ended up happening was where the wells ended up going, because it was X number of years later, many years later, the overgrowth came into play. And so what we thought might have been not the landfill, might have actually been the landfill. And they, when the people put in the wells at that time, I think it was 2, 3, and 4, 3 and 4 specifically anyway, do look like they might have been in the landfill.
Well, and to be honest with you, until the discussion, I didn't know what dictated where the wells are supposed to go.
All right,
That's so,
Because if I look at a landfill that's been capped,
yep,
I see wells all over the place, and I see methane vents
Yeah.
and things like
Yeah.
that. But again, until someone tells me why and where they're supposed to be, I would think that everything's good.
that's what caught Jim's eye. And that's what, until I saw that map that came with that report, I now understand why he wanted confirmation of that. And, but again, that's could be a point, it could be an issue for us.
Yeah,
But, we'll do what we have to do.
yeah, whatever it is, we're gonna have to deal with it step by step, just like we did the depressions
Oh, yeah.
and, the well caps and the catch basin. We'll just keep chipping away at it.
Oh,
all
yeah.
right. Not easy.
Nope.
No, but I'll tell you what, it's a great learning experience.
Oh, yeah.
Great learning experience. Truly is.
I mean, after dealing with this, which when I came to town, didn't even know we had, you definitely, when you're driving down the road, you have a different appreciation for that 3-story tall mound with
Yeah.
the thing with flames coming out of it or whatever. You're like, oh, it's a cap landfill. Yeah. We know the language now.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna move on to, should we do BOH admin updates or should we skip over it? I know we have the flyer in front of us
Right.
and
I don't have any input into it, other than this is just a draft
right,
for the event. It's gonna be a 3-town event. Jack and I'll be working it. And, this is going to be, advertised, and these are the items that are gonna be accepted.
do you know if the dates on here are correct?
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah, the 28th.
okay.
Yeah, that I know.
I have to say, I like the don't delay, pay today.
Mhm.
How many towns you say involved?
Great.
He's got 4? Or am I looking at something different?
He's got 4 listed,
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry.
3
Well, I-
towns other than that.
Yeah,
Yeah, we don't count ourselves.
yeah. Well, that's right, yeah.
Gotcha.
And
In addition,
where is it going to be?
Misco.
Oh.
Just like last year, we're
Right.
not without a hitch. I mean, they have, they come in, they set up, Jack and I are directing people,
Mhm.
I mean, it flowed.
yeah,
A little while, sometimes there might have been like a little bit of a crunch on North Avenue of cars and whatnot. The police officer moved them right along. We got them in off the road and stuff.
Yeah, and we know for 3 out of the 4 towns, it couldn't be any more convenient. It's kind of the nucleus of those 3
Yeah.
towns. I wish it was a little more convenient for the people from Blackstone, but I'm sure they're glad that they can drive to the next town and this service is available. I mean, when I went through the prices, I mean, mattress and box spring for $45 each piece. You can't touch that.
No.
That is so reasonable.
Well, the Blackstone Valley Regional Recycling Center is very reasonable.
I haven't seen their latest.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I mean, I've heard prices of 100, 150.
Oh, down the street from, what's it, Smithfield. About 25.
You raise an interesting, point, from the last event. So will, police detail involved?
There was one last year.
Okay, I just don't know if we've had that direct communication to ask for one, or
Well, Jack, I'm sure.
it's probably just.
Yeah.
But it all takes-
Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
because I mean, Jack's.
it was straight and square,
That's right.
yeah.
Yeah,
Okay, so I'm gonna assume we need to approve this so that Jack can get things in motion, because June 28th is not
Around
far
the
away.
corner.
Yeah.
All right,
Looks good to me.
So, motion to approve the flyer,
I move that we approve the flyer as presented to us.
Second motion,
all in favor?
Tom, I.
Joyce, I.
Al and I.
and then what about, Jack has this up here for the mailer,
Yeah,
that's all
oh,
set too?
they're separate. Okay,
Yeah.
I thought they were all together.
The trash and recycling mailing update, this is what he was gonna send out.
Oh, okay, for some reason I thought this whole thing was gonna be.
Part
Okay,
of the same.
all right, so we just did the recycling and sustainability event.
Yeah,
Now, I see, he's got them labeled separately. So we
Right.
just did 7B, we need to do 7A.
Right,
All right, motion?
So that's, so I understand. This is what's,
Gonna be included with the bills.
with the, trash bill,
right.
That's my understanding.
which, isn't that already gone out?
it may have, I don't have any
Yeah,
dialogue on
because
it.
they do the first of, I mean, the service starts July 1.
Well, it says,
Yeah, I haven't got my bill yet,
Remember,
Correct.
because this is a new amount.
no, well, the reason I mentioned it is because from the last meeting, I remember Jack saying we needed to approve that letter that we
Right.
worked on. It had to go out like the next day after the meeting to Kelly and Ryan.
Okay,
So I was of the belief that,
maybe this is a reminder.
well, if you go to 7A, it says trash and recycling mailing update. And then 7B, reminder for electronic recycling sustainability event. So,
well, he's got up there at the title of this, it says trash and recycling bills have been mailed. So the letter and the
So-
bills must have already
yeah,
gone.
so I don't know where this is going.
So it's just maybe something he wants to put online on the website. Maybe.
I don't know, but it's very good,
Yeah, it is good, yeah.
as usual. Okay, I guess if we approved the draft of
Right,
B,
Yeah,
if we approve the draft of A,
right. Then he has it,
then he can move forward
Right.
with whatever
Whatever
he
he
to do it
has.
like you want.
right.
And we
Correct.
trust
I agree.
in Jack.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, so I'm gonna have a motion for 7A, please.
I'll make the motion to approve the draft presentation for the mailer for 7A.
I'll second the
All
motion.
in favor?
John, I.
Joyce, I.
Al and I. Okay, so Jack has our blessing to do whatever he sees fit.
Maybe no.
All right, in Jack we trust. All right, moving along. Pauline, you're up. Health agent updates, please.
67 Hartford Ave West, the, well was, cleaned and sanitized. I spoke with Dave today. And, he did it last week, so now we can,
Have it
part of
tested.
a sample for it. So I'm gonna go down and speak with the property owner tomorrow. And let her know that, and we'll probably move forward with the testing. We have the funds that are secured. I just wanna let the board know that Mr. Dowling, volunteered this time, along with Mr. Gibson.
Oh, wow.
That's
Um,
huge.
Yep, absolutely.
Nice.
They, they were happy to, assist the resident. I reached out to John Erickson. Him and I are gonna go down there. He's gonna take a look at the garage, make a determination, because we need to address moving that line before the snow flies.
Right.
Because we can't have them not have any water. So I guess the first step would be, we're gonna, draw the samples, contact Microbac, they'll come down, they'll draw the
Right.
samples. We'll have it tested, we'll test it for potability, and then we'll, but in the meantime, we're gonna meet with John, and we're gonna go down there and take a look at the garage.
Mhm.
And
what are you looking for when you go to the garage?
the garage is in, ill repair.
Uh-huh.
I mean, it's pretty much falling down, and it's going to, if it does, it's gonna hit that water line.
Right,
So the water line needs to be relocated. Spoke with AJ Fisk and Mr. Dallin. And we're gonna have to move forward with something, but before you do that, they're gonna take the garage down.
is it loaded with stuff? I thought it was.
Part of it where the office was, it's just, there's not a lot of stuff in there.
Right.
And, if that's the area that we can, just take down because the water line's there, then, that might be something, but I'm looking for John's definition.
Right,
on
yeah.
that. The tobacco and establishment inspections, we covered that earlier.
Right.
Happy to report that there were no other sales to minors in the town. One other establishment, because it's an over 21 establishment, the individual went into the store, he gained access, actually, I should say, to the store. That may have resulted in a fine. However, reviewing the tapes from the day at that specific time, there was no entry that I saw on the tapes. So I'm speaking with the individuals that conducted the test, the inspection. And we're gonna go, and also working with the business establishment, because he does need to, he has a bell when you open up that door, but the regulation states that, and when he hears that bell, he immediately is there. The person does open up the door. They're not supposed to be able to gain entry, period.
Gotcha.
So I'm working with him,
Right,
a couple of other over 21 establishments to come up with, it's either gonna be a buzzer
Mhm.
type of, operation. He does have an alarm on the door now. Before there was a bell, but now there's an alarm. And explained to him he's gonna have to have someone right there. And he's willing to do whatever he has to do to comply.
Is this establishment part of the educational process that I think we did a while back for all the tobacco places?
Yep, but it was not discussed.
At the time?
No, it was not. So I'm doing a little bit more of investigating and education, and I'll have more to report to the board. Establishments, well, now we're in food truck season, so.
oh my gosh, I can't even imagine.
Oh, yeah, tis the season, but also another interesting, the Miss Mendon Diner. They have a new person that's going to
Oh.
operate it.
Oh, okay, yeah.
So
That's wonderful,
Yeah,
how
it's
that
been
was,
closed for 5 years.
I know.
And so last week, he notified us, I spoke with the individual, he owns a couple of other restaurants, him and his wife, very, very nice man. And he said that, they were looking to reopen it and everything, and wanted me to go up and do a site visit. And I said, well, how do you feel about if we have, so the building commissioner came up, Dylan from planning and zoning came up, fire chief, his deputy came up, notified the police chief as well. I let him know because they plan on that outside grill there, they plan on using that too. And they have outside tables and chairs, kind of the same thing, the chief went down and took a look at Abe's place, you know, for safety, for, you know, buffers and whatnot and everything. So we all met up there and it was a great meeting. You know, they know what they need to do. Each department had their opportunity to go through and let them know what, you know, they would be expecting prior to them opening. So, they're really looking forward to it.
Very good.
Yeah, they're really, really looking.
Yeah, I
forward
was always disappointed that they didn't do that. you
Yeah,
know?
yeah, and it's a husband and wife. They own a couple of restaurants in Bellingham. And so they're, you know, been in the business forever. Just very excited to be working in Mendon. It was a great meeting. It was a great opportunity for everyone to, you know, to meet together and, you know, instead of individually and
Yeah,
just,
doing all the same stuff, yeah,
yeah, just a
Great.
real communication.
Yeah, no, that's, I
yeah,
didn't realize it had been closed that long. That's a long
Yeah.
time.
yeah.
I didn't realize that in the diner, but then there was that addition.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah,
Right.
a nice big,
I know.
Yeah, I never realized that.
Yeah.
When I went through
5
it
years
in
has gone by.
Yeah.
yeah,
I've been sleeping.
Yeah, I know,
I know.
I remember trying to have breakfast there and nope.
Yeah, and they have that beautiful outside grill area.
yeah,
I mean, with the tables and chairs and everything, I
Yeah.
mean, it's really fantastic.
yeah,
So, so anyway, we'll probably be doing follow-ups there and, inspections and whatnot. Fire department went through everything as far as, you know, the alarm and the hood system and everything. It was really great. They appreciated everyone meeting together, you
right.
know what I mean?
Well, that works so much
Yeah,
better.
it really.
So when are they thinking they're gonna open it?
Well, they wanted to open it by next month, but I don't know, they're committed to it, as long as everything is, you know, brought up to speed and everything. I
Right.
don't see why not, but I mean, they have some work to do.
So is there any, so what, after, since it's been closed for such a long period of time, any concerns or processes that would have to happen for the utility aspect? For how, for the waste and all that stuff, all that,
Well, they have a public water supply.
so they have a
So,
public water supply?
Yeah, it's a public water supply, so we get those reports.
Okay,
And I asked for, you know, I saw the septic system.
yeah,
And they have the grease trap, that's already installed and everything.
cool,
So I asked for the latest pump and slips for that, went through all the equipment that's in there, you know, everything has to be UC certified and rated, and they know that.
Yeah.
Most of the equipment is already, but you know, I asked them for a equipment list and, certifications that go along with it.
just didn't know if something's sitting for so long. I just think about when the library was.
Right.
The church and property sat forever and they did the library and had the issue with the system. with the
Yeah.
facility.
This system, I think, is under the park.
But this is different, this is a
Yeah.
paved. I
Right,
think,
yeah.
Paved setup.
Yep.
Yeah.
I just didn't know if anything's, having sat for so long. Anything kind
The equipment in there is, you know,
of,
top show.
Yeah.
So there's the pod, the diner, and that has some old dog stuff in it that they're really not gonna be using.
Yeah.
It's just really for show, so
It's a
that they
dog.
can sit at the counter type of thing, you know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, but.
it's a nice place to go.
Yeah,
All right, thank you very much for all your work.
Yeah.
Topics not anticipated within 48 hours?
Actually, Mr. Chairman, before we move to 9, and I may be having a senior moment, did we miss 5E?
yeah, I was gonna bring it up,
Okay,
We did. And
yeah,
I even put a check mark.
yeah,
Wow.
yeah, no, I was gonna bring it up.
just want to make sure it didn't get discussed while I was looking at my phone.
Yeah, no, the minute,
Well, you weren't at that meeting, Tom.
That's true, I wasn't.
Because I know it's in the packet.
Yep, it's right here.
Okay. I know I didn't see anything. I did make sure that Tom was marked absent. though.
Right,
Oh, yeah, marked absent.
Thank you very much for bringing that to our attention, Tom. Did you find anything in
I did
the?
No.
not.
no.
I'm fine with my
Looked at the
review,
whole thing.
no issues.
All right. So we'll have a motion
I move we accept 5E as read.
All right, I'll step down in second. All in
Well,
favor?
I can actually vote,
You can.
Okay.
even though I wasn't there, but the chairman you can still vote even though you missed a meeting.
Right, but if I step down and second the motion, now you vote,
Right.
Oh,
right?
I just, normally I would second a motion.
Oh, okay, I didn't know if you could second the motion.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go right. So I'll second Joyce's motion to accept the meeting minutes of May 14th.
All in favor?
Tom, I
Joyce, I.
Alan, thank you.
I thought you might have been thinking because I wasn't in attendance, I couldn't.
No, but I
You
thought,
couldn't play the game?
I thought you
Yeah.
couldn't second it, but I knew you could vote on it.
Oh,
But I
right.
thought those two things were
We're
separate.
separate. Oh, I got it. Okay.
Don't mind me.
We don't.
That's good, that's
We're
good.
happy to have you.
Okay, so now we'll move forward to 9, topics not anticipated within 48 hours. Anybody?
Have none.
I neither.
Good and welfare for the board,
Have none.
motion to adjourn,
So move.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
all in favor?
Yep.
Tom, I,
Tom, I.
Joyce,
Joyce, I.
Al and I. And we know what our next meeting is because we already discussed that earlier.
What did you say, June 11th?
11.
June 11th. Thank you, everyone.
We hope that,
Have a good evening.
that, poor Jack has his stuff all.
Oh, I know.
Well, that's so demoralizing.